Hey, I'm here in Halle, Germany on behalf of the ATP Tour and Tennis Point at the Terra Wortmann Open. Now, this is an ATP 500 event which Roger Federer has famously won 10 times. And today I'm going to take you guys along with me. Let's go. To be honest, I never thought I'd get the chance to visit this event as it's on the same time as Queen's in London, which is obviously closer to me. But I was invited by the ATP Tour and their retail partner Tennis Point to interview some of the professional tennis players at the event for their social media channels. And so having the opportunity to do some work with the ATP Tour, of course I said yes. Now, Halle is in the middle of nowhere in the German countryside, which makes this tournament pretty unique. Usually tournaments of this size are based in bigger cities, which gives more opportunity for spectators to travel and stay for a few nights to enjoy the event. It also means that players have lots of options when it comes to accommodation. But because this one was in the middle of nowhere, it gave it a real family vibe. Most of the spectators at this event are locals, and pretty much everybody attending the event stayed in one of two hotels. The main one being the one on site, which is called the Court Hotel. Speaking to lots of the players, they really enjoy going to Halle as it's got this real family vibe and it's nice and peaceful during their downtime in between matches. I was actually there for the Saturday and Sunday before the main draw started, which was for the qualifying event, where general admission is actually free for spectators, which is honestly incredible as the qualifying rounds feature players in the top 100, so it's really high quality. And they also put on a few exhibition matches on the centre court. Some of the players involved in these exhibition matches were Andrea Petkovic, Henri Leconte, Mansur Barami, Tommy Haas, Goran Ivanisevic and Andrei Medvedev. So it was really high quality and truly entertaining. I was actually fortunate enough to interview most of these players after these matches. I can't show you all the interviews as they're going to be posted on the ATP Tour Instagram channel over the coming months, but you can see a few clips of them here. In between watching exhibition matches and the practice courts, I would spend most of my day up in the media rooms. This was interesting as all of the tennis players would pass through here after their matches. I watched a press conference from Sasha Zverev, but unfortunately it was all in German, so to be honest I didn't understand much of it, but it was pretty cool to see him in the flesh. Another player that passed by was Nick Kyrgios, but unfortunately he had to pull out of the tournament due to injury. One really strange thing that I noticed about the centre court at Halle was the way that the grass court was laid out. It was actually laid out in turf grids, which you don't really get to see that on television, but when you see it in real life, it's really obvious. To be honest, it doesn't look great. I'm not sure why they do it, but from watching the matches, there don't seem to be that many dodgy bounces, so it must be fine. As well as enjoying the exhibition matches, I also got the chance to head over to the practice courts. Now, unfortunately in Halle, the practice courts aren't open to the general public, but because I had an ATP pass, I was able to go in and check that out. That was really cool as there was nobody else in there, so I could spend a good amount of time watching the pros close up in action. I'll show you some footage from these practice sessions shortly. But first, one of the biggest highlights from my weekend in Halle was spending some time with fellow YouTuber Carousel. Now, most of you probably know Caru. He runs the YouTube channel My Tennis HQ, and he's currently the coach of ATP world number 57, Marcos Giron. And so I watched Marcos's first round qualifying win on the Saturday, and on the Sunday I actually sat next to Caru when he was playing his final round qualifying match against rocket server Vavasori. Now, I've spoken to Caru multiple times online, but this was the first time that I'd got to meet him in person, and he's a great guy. It was really cool to talk tennis and talk a little bit about what he and Marcos are getting up to. But also seeing them both in action as a player and as a coach, live and in the flesh, was really cool. In between games, we were talking about Marcos's game and what they'd been working on, but it was also really nice to see them interacting together during the match. Fortunately, Marcos managed to win this match after a 3-set battle and qualified for the main draw where he were to face Daniil Medvedev on the centre court. Now, unfortunately, this didn't go his way, but a really cool experience to play against Daniil. And I'm sure they're going to take a lot from this experience into their next tournament in Mallorca. So obviously, this is a bit of a shout out to Caru and his YouTube channel, My Tennis HQ. He's currently on 99,000 subscribers, so he's just 1,000 away from getting that silver play button. So I'm sure you do already, but if you don't, head over to subscribe. He produces some really cool coaching content and behind the scenes stuff from life on the tour. Anyway, as I mentioned, I managed to watch some practice sessions over on the practice courts. I got to watch some of Denis Shapovalov and Andrei Rublev. They were training next to Brandon Nakashima, and in the distance was Felix Auger-Aliassime, who unfortunately actually had to pull out due to injury. I also watched a bit of Tommy Haas, who still hits a really nice clean ball, of course. But one of the most impressive players to watch in practice was Daniil Medvedev. For somebody with such unorthodox swings, he hits the ball so cleanly. It was honestly quite unbelievable to watch as he has such long swings and fully commits to accelerating through the ball, but he still times it beautifully. All of his shots were super fast and super low over the net, and even when his opponent hit a super deep shot, he was able to time the ball on the half volley. Very, very impressive. Overall, the weekend was a really incredible experience. It was really nice to meet some of the players behind the scenes and to see how the ATP media works. I'm not sure if this will lead to anything in the future, but it was really, really incredible to work with them. During the evening, we ate at the Court restaurant where all of the players were staying, so pretty much every single table in this restaurant, apart from us, were professional tennis players and their teams. Now, I didn't film any of this because this is their personal downtime, but it was really, really interesting to see what everybody got up to. Most of the teams were playing some kind of game, whether it be chess or card games or board games. At the end of the day, all of these people are super competitive, and during their downtime, they still find a way to get some form of competition in. It was such a cool opportunity to see these players and their teams interacting during their off-court time. What was really nice was the guy who was hosting me on this trip from the ATP Tour, Nick Herbering, is a fantastic tennis player. In fact, he used to play on the Future Circuit, and after each of the days of working hard, we got to have a hit on the clay courts in Halle. We had a real good hour-long sweat session, and the funny thing was, each time that we played, there were professional tennis players walking by. Goran Ivanisevic was on the court next door with his son, hitting with Borna Koric's team, and during one of our points in the tiebreak, Dominic Thiem walked by and stopped to watch us play. Fortunately, I actually hit a really good drop shot on that point. What was even funnier was at the end of one of our sessions, there were two young German boys who came over to ask for our autograph. Nick told them both that we weren't professional tennis players, but they were adamant that they wanted our autographs anyway. So I can now safely say I've got my first German tennis fans. Now, playing on these beautiful red clay courts made me realize how much I miss playing on real red clay, because over here in the UK, these courts are really hard to come by. Generally, the most common type of clay court is an artificial clay over here in the UK, which is fantastic in the wet weather and the icy conditions that we get in the winter. And it is great because you can slide, and it is a slow surface like a clay court, but it's not quite the same. So playing on this stuff was a real treat. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that behind the scenes look at the Halle tournament. Let me know if you've got any questions about it in the comments below, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.